I'm Matthew McCabe. Welcome to Miracle Voices. Each episode, we will be delving into stories of forgiveness, healing, and transformation that have come about from integrating the principles of the book A Course in Miracles. If you want to learn more about A Course in Miracles, visit www.acim.org. If you'd like to visit the Miracle Voices site, please go to www.miraclevoices.org. If you feel inspired to make a love offering, please visit us at miraclevoices.org/donate. All donations go to support the work of the Foundation for Inner Peace, the publisher of A Course in Miracles. Now here's your program. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Miracle Voices. I'm Matthew McCabe, here with my co-host, Tam Morgan. Tam, how you doing today?
Okay, good morning. It's early where I am this time, and thank you for accommodating my schedule by doing this early. I really appreciate it.
No problem. And our guest today is Frances Zhu. Frances, welcome.
Thank you.
Well,
oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tam. It's such a pleasure to be here joining with both of you.
vice versa.
And Frances, tell everybody where you're sitting, where you are in the world right now.
Well, I'm sitting in Chapala, Mexico.
Yeah.
Just by the lake. I can actually see the big lake outside of my window. It's about 45 minutes from the second largest city in Mexico, Guadalajara.
Yeah. And you've got a beautiful view down there in the big white house with a pool with a heart, and it looks like something out of John Lennon's Imagine video or something to me.
Yeah, that house is so beautiful. You guys should come visit. And the house is actually built very interestingly by this beautiful, amazing architect in memory of his son. And it's a love from the father to his son.
Well, Frances, please tell us how A Course in Miracles came into your life.
Well, A Course in Miracles came to me in, I think, 2006 or 2007, when I actually just finished my MBA and was about to start some kind of management training program in this massive company in Australia. And I was at a point where I was so busy pursuing different goals in the world for so long. And that was the point where I just sort of achieved everything that I was planning to do. And yet I felt so empty inside. And so one day I was driving and just started to think, here is where I wanted to be always, and here I am. And I thought being here would give me some sort of perspective, clarity, happiness, hope, at least. But I felt dead inside. And I just asked myself, what's wrong? What's wrong with me? What's wrong in my life? And what's missing? And I was driving and I had a lot of time to think, but I couldn't come up with an answer. I was searching everywhere in my mind, couldn't come up with an answer. And I dropped the question. But very soon after that, I started my work. And just one day at lunch break, I was walking in a park, and the question came back, and I was like, is this really where I'm supposed to be, and what I'm supposed to be doing? Why does everything feel so dead and meaningless? And I just had this specific question: am I supposed to even be here in Australia, or should I be moving back to China, where I was from? And then with that very specific question came a booming voice from the universe, like outside of me, like an audible voice, and said, stay. And there is something big that's going to happen here. You need to wait. And it was kind of very startling experience, but I didn't question it. I just looked up to the voice and said, okay. and I settled with it. But what happened afterwards was that I started to feel, oh my God, there is a destiny. Suddenly everything took on like some sort of purpose, that there is a destiny for me, and I'm here to wait for something. And I started to be attentive, or be aware of what's going on in my life. Where am I supposed to go, and what is drawing me? And just a bunch of books came to my life, very, very mind-opening, very different from my upbringing, because I grew up as an atheist, never knew anything about Jesus or any spirituality. And suddenly a bunch of books came to my life around spirituality, metaphysics, and it was so mind-blowing. But they were all sort of pointing to this other book called A Course in Miracles. So one day at the same time, on top of all the meaninglessness in my life, I also was dealing with a lot of physical pain. My dad was dying of cancer and was just stressed emotionally. So one day I went to a bookstore, and this book, called a small pamphlet called The Gift from A Course in Miracles, something caught my attention. And then I opened it, and this quote from the Course just stood out. And it said something like, sickness is a decision of the mind. It has nothing to do with the body. And the patient can just rise up and say, I have no use for this at all, and be healed. And it was kind of like really, I don't know, like I had this huge experience reading it, and I felt, oh my God, this is true. And I knew it. And I've been searching everywhere else. Everything, I realized in that moment that everything I thought I knew and I was searching for was wrong. And I think that was the point. I felt I'm going to commit to this book. I'm going to commit to the truth that it points to. And I knew it wasn't going to be like overnight change of mind, because the truth it pointed to felt so deep to me. But I did kind of said to myself, I'm going to give myself to it and find out. This is what I'm going to do. So I felt some sort of a commitment straight away to the Course at that point. But I was so busy, like my life was so busy. And I actually, after that, I quit my job and started my own business in order to have time to study the Course. But it was, I still remember that booming voice to ask me to wait, and I keep checking in. Is this it? It was still not it. And, eventually what the voice was asking me to wait was when I met David Hoffmeister in Australia and decided that I'm going to join people who live the Course, and I'm going to devote my whole life to it with nothing, no other priorities. And I'm going to move to America. That was really what I was waiting for, but it was sort of like a full commitment. So.
Wow. That must have been scary. Did you have a lot of back and forth in your mind wrestling with this?
To be honest, not with the Course at all. Even when I quit my job, I felt like everything was helping me in that. And not with the Course at all. But when I really decided to take the practical steps, more radical ones of, going to the A Course in Miracles community in America and close down my business, sell my house, and all of those practical steps really it was very emotional, and a lot of emotion got released, guilt, fear of the future, of course the mistrust of is this spirit gonna really take care of me? Can I really trust? All of those doubt and a different voice from people who, like my mother, they thought I was crazy, and so those are the things I had to face.
Yeah, my wife and I, we listened to some of the speakers from Living Miracles, which is part of the community you're in down there in Mexico. And we always laugh when you start talking about your mom, because we're like, oh, great, Francis is going to talk about her mom, because there's all this stuff we can totally relate to, like these guilt concepts and all these things you talk about, and how you dealt with them and how you overcame them. And we're just like, oh, this is great. And also the interactions you describe with your mom are also kind of humorous at times, like the one with your mom and the bus company calling and saying, hey, we want to take care of you. Maybe you could just tell that story, because I think it was kind of interesting. Your thoughts you had going on in your mind, and then the phone call she got.
Yeah, sure. It was just, with me kind of leaving behind really what was, because I wasn't living with my mom for a long time. I was in Australia, she was in China. So moving to to America was somehow triggered a lot of things for her. But I think it was mainly the change of purpose in my life, and not pursuing what the world was telling me to do in a conventional way. And so she felt, I let her down in terms of what she had expected from me and the life path that she approved me of. And maybe I would take care of her in a certain way when she gets old. And so all of those kind of expectations and codependency and mother-daughter roles constantly coming up. And one of the phone calls, she was sort of getting into this complaint again. Oh, you left me and you abandoned me. And I, normally I would want her to think differently and do not blame me and see it from my perspective. So I would tell her my perspective, but we couldn't really meet there. So this one time, when she started again, I just said to the spirit in my mind, I said, I'm just going to focus on you today. And if there's any a true thought, either come from my mom or from myself in my mind, that's the only thing I'm going to reinforce and speak and think, and nothing else. So I'm zooming completely into the spirit. And there was nothing in my mind that came as a thought to respond to her for like 20 minutes. And she went on crying and crying. And I thought, well, I got nothing to say, absolutely nothing. So after 20 minutes, suddenly, she popped out of it by herself, and she emoted and she finished, and then she went on to laughing about other things. And I was kind of like, wow, I've never reached this point before. I always want to stop her and get her to understand this is some place I've never been before. And I felt so peaceful the whole time because I wasn't really affected by anything she said. And then after she popped out, suddenly she got a phone call, and she put the phone call on speaker on another phone so I can hear it. And it was this like almost sound like a telemarketer started, hi, my name is who and who, how are you doing today? And my mom just like, yeah, good. How are you doing? And so they started to converse. And this lady just said, I'm from this bus company, public bus company. And we saw on our monitor system that you were on the bus yesterday and you were carrying something heavy, but nobody in the bus helped you, including our own employees. So it was really not acceptable. And we want to call you to apologize and see whether there's anything we can do for you. And my mom said, yeah, I was like carrying something. Yeah, nobody helped me. But I was laughing. I thought, what? Who does that? A bus company calls you, and how did they even find your phone number in the first place? But the thing is, after that, I was thinking, wow, she was complaining about I wasn't looking after her. But that gave me the perspective of how well she was looked after. Not necessarily by relative, not by me, not by someone, but it's still being so taken care of beyond my wildest imagination. And I felt so peaceful after that, hearing it. And that gave me this glimmer that it actually wasn't her that was concerned about me abandoning her and her not being looked after. It was me. And the spirit is showing me, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to reflect back to you that she is looked after so you can rest. And I wasn't even in touch with that, but the healing happened regardless,
Oh, that's great.
So it's so amazing how spirit works sometimes, because for someone else, their perception of that would have been actually might have been actually completely fear provoked. Like, who's watching you on a bus and what's going on there? Oh my gosh, I have to come back and take care of you because I'm worried that you're being looked at in a certain way. But that's not where you came from. You came from your own truth and heard it as a protection, which really, really matters on our path. And I think that yours was really kind of punctuated by the self-inquiry that you had in the first place, to ask why you were here, what you were doing. And it connected you with something much deeper from your atheistic approach, I think, to really opening to an internal response instead of like an immediate external response of, oh, this is a caretaking, and that we are each safe, and very hard to leave that guilt position when one leaves to do something independent, as you have. And I have a quick question, which is, which book was this? Was that Gifts of God that you fell upon?
Gift of God. It might be. That book is very small, very thin, and it's a collection of the quotes from A Course.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. That's what it was. Oh, that's beautiful. What a great story.
Andy from the community down there, Andy Pidgeman, he posted something on Facebook a while back, and I didn't know it was a quote from you, but it was about, you said, being on this journey for the last 10 plus years, if I have anything new to share with you, it's really just this: just relax. You can relax. You can just trust and relax. I feel like at the beginning of this journey, it was still a lot of effort. It was still a lot of fear of not doing it right, and trying to assess where I'm at on the spiritual journey, how far I've gone and how fast, whether I'm going backward, why are things still the way they are. But it just feels like such a beautiful divine plan. Nothing is what you think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just find that very comforting, Frances. I'm like, oh, okay. Because sometimes you just like, I'm stressed out. I get into this role of the doer, and I'm like, should I be doing more? And it's just like, hey, maybe I should just be doing less and surrendering to this, because, I think I'm a body and I'm here. How am I going to get myself out of this maze?
Yeah.
My own power. Like, what am I thinking I can add to this plan besides just my willingness?
Yeah.
Well, and also the piece of it too that's really beautiful in just what you said, Matt, is when Frances wasn't in a doing mode and a responding mode in a certain defensive way, really it seems like what her mother wanted most was just to be heard, just allow her to let go and talk and complain and be upset, and instead of it's okay or I'm going to run back or any response, just to allow her to let what she was feeling out, so that she could also shift and feel like, okay, you listened to her.
Yes.
And then a lot of the shift got to happen on its own without you having to step in and respond in a defensive way.
That's very, very true. That's definitely another thing I learned from that. Like, give space, hold space for someone instead of trying to change. Spirit never wanted to change. He just wanted to love. And in that, everything heals,
Yeah. Yeah.
Francis, I'm curious, is your mother your biggest forgiveness in your life, or is there another one that maybe you wanted to share?
I do feel like she is a very strong representation of what how the forgiveness journey really has been for me. And I think I can share another story around her to sort of emphasize my understanding of forgiveness. Like it's along the same lines. She has this, because at the beginning, when I first got the course, before I moved to America, I was very eager to share everything to her and get her to understand. Oh my God, this is the truth. Can't you understand? And she wasn't interested at all. And I couldn't really meet her. And so it's sort of like a lesson for me as well to realize it's not about that, Somehow I have to step back. I have to really let the spirit arrange the miracles. And I can't really personally select to whom and when do I call for miracles. So with her, I really stepped back from wanting her to know about the course. So after I came to America, David and I had many, many opportunities to go to China to share the teaching of the course. And every time we went, of course, my mom would be like, oh, I want to see you. When are we going to have some mother-daughter time? But those trips were so purposeful about sharing this message. And I really had to prioritize what came first. And so inevitably, a lot of the times I just couldn't have the time to meet with her. And there was this one time, I couldn't meet with her the whole trip until the very end. And she was waiting for me. And finally, we had a little bit of time together. We went to a supermarket together, and she was just like, what is happening? You were here, you were teaching, but what were you even teaching? She was asking me, what were you even teaching? What was this message? And I thought, wow, this is interesting because I tried to tell her so many times. So I just said, it was just all on the website, and David's website has been translated into Chinese as well. The course has been translated into Chinese. You could find out if you really wanted to. And so she actually did. She looked through, and then when we finally met and went to the supermarket, she looked at me. She said, I saw that David is saying this world is not real. And I said, yeah. And she said, how is this possible? How is this possible? And I can feel that she was really asking. She was really with me. And she was talking about, then what is our relationship? What is our relationship if we're not mother and daughter? So I just kind of prayed to the spirit, like, I don't know how to answer this question that can be received. Please, put words in my mouth. And I did say in the end that our relationship is just the relationship between dreamer of the dream and the dream character. That's the relationship. And I kind of went on to share some of my experience and some of the understanding that I could put words into. And then at the very end of the conversation, she said, wow, so who am I is the only real question, isn't it? I said, yeah, I think so. And it was very surprising to have her kind of join me in that. And that was the end of the trip, and it was very surprising. And then days later, she called me and she said she had a mystical experience. She was woken up in the middle of the night and everything turned into light. And there are some messages for her. And I think she wanted to write it down. And when she was looking for pens and turned on the lamp, then the light disappeared. But because it was very bright, and she was asking me how she makes sense of that, because that experience was so striking, was kind of the world disappeared for a brief moment. And I just said, yeah, it's not anything to grasp or trying to relate to other people. It's just for you. But that was, for me, what forgiveness was. A lot of the conflicts and grievances really was built on this forgetting of who we truly are. And then we take on this role with each other. And this role has so much expectations on each other. You're doing this good or you're doing this right. What about me? What about you? And all this fear and concern around, the special ones and the roles. But what I saw in that was, if I really focus on the spirit and not trying to perform miracles on my own, just trust the spirit has got it. And I just give myself over to this teaching so fully in every moment, then I'm going to realize the truth behind everything, which is, I'm not even forgiving my mother or she forgive me. It's more like I remember that we are actually joined in the mind of God, and we're both looking to come back to light, to God. We're not even mother and daughters in the first place. But that's really like an experience for me that was so stabilizing for me. And then, of course, over the years, I was given more and more opportunities to remember that in different ways through the interaction with her, and not just her, but with all the people surrounding me. But that was the goal,
Yeah, your mom jumped. That was a beautiful story. Your mom jumped right to like Ramana Maharshi, like, who am I? Isn't that the question he always asks? Like, who am I? Just keep asking, who am I? It was amazing that she got there so quick.
I know, it was so unexpected.
What a beautiful partnership. It's like playing leapfrog.
Right.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That's
powerful.
Yeah. Wow.
So I'm assuming, which I shouldn't do, that experience completely transformed her own life, so that you could have a continued dialogue on a different level together. Or did she dismiss it later? What happened?
She dismissed it, I think, in my experience. So actually, I realized that over the years, it is sort of every single time an encounter feels brand new, because, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna face this time, because sometimes she was really there with me, and sometimes it was complete, like a different experience. And I had to find the spirit in that very moment. And then I have this experience of the bus company, it was after that, that kind of experience again and over again. So I realized that, it's never to even expect someone to be different, but just trust, every single moment is still the moment of learning for me to remember. And I will always be given that opportunity to strengthen this faith inside.
Yeah. I wondered about the, the egoic defense when one isn't quite prepared, that can happen, that there is a dismissal of it. But underneath, as you said, it was there. It showed you how joined minds can be. And that's just great.
Yeah.
Thank
Frances,
you for sharing that.
We'd like to give listeners really practical help because, we all get caught in ego storms sometimes and we feel like we're moving backwards, but we so much want to have willingness and move forward. And these ego storms come and they grab us and throw us around. And it just feels like there's sadness or, depression. And am I even making progress? What am I doing? If you get caught in one of those, how do you recenter and get regrounded?
Mm-hmm. It kind of already has been reflected by what you said earlier, Matt, this trust. When I was caught in one of those, oh my God, what's happening? I need to figure it out, or I'm stressed that I think I need to do something different. I'm not doing it. I don't know. At first, I would just remember to pause and stop, and then start to pray. Spirit, help me and show me. And I realized always it brought me down to this place to remember, oh, I already gave this day to the Spirit. I forgot. The Spirit, I already gave this day to the Spirit to show me. So everything that's happening, I have to trust. I can trust is the Spirit that is at work. And I don't have to sort of pinpoint what's wrong and then trying to correct it myself. It happened so many times that I always brought back to this place. Oh yeah, I already prayed this morning to give this day to the Spirit. So this must be the day the Spirit is using. Do I trust that or not? It comes down to, do I trust the Spirit or trust the ego that everything is wrong and everything is a mess and I have to be the one to save it? And it was so comforting. But in that comfort, it was a change of focus, and it was a change of perspective. Yes, this day is the Spirit's. This is what I'm going to focus on. And that's it. And then if I didn't really already pray to give this day to the Spirit, then I can start again. I can do it in that moment. But it was actually like chapter 30 or 31, the rules for decision was describing. It was so much easier to give the day and set the goal at the beginning, to hold the piece up front in the forefront. And then when we lose track, we can always remember to come back again. But that's what I realize is don't trust that you have to be the one, and you have to be the one to save the day. You have to be the one to be better, to fix everything, but shift the mind to the Spirit. And that's really how I feel the only place I can really relax is that everything I perceive is the Spirit's answer to me. And I can really sit back and watch and have this, have this trust that, yes, this is brought to me by the Spirit. Yes, this is brought to me by the Spirit because of my prayer at the beginning. And that works every time.
Somehow that reminds me of, I don't know why my mind went to this. It makes me laugh that my mother she had a sister. Her sister disappeared in a plane disappearance. And so she started to get nervous about everyone or anyone close to her flying. And she would always get, like if I flew, she'd get insurance. It became almost superstitious. She'd get insurance because then she knew I'd be okay as long as there was insurance. But she'd do these prayers, and she would, God bless, the plane and this and that. And then she started to do it for everyone. And she finally realized she was spending so much time doing that and actively sending off the prayers that it was taking up so much time that one morning she woke up and she realized, oh, I'm just going to hand all of it over to God. So I just say when I wake up, God bless everyone. And she felt taken care of. And it was that shift, as we've been speaking about, of the active thinking we're doing something to save someone or save the day, even in our prayer to God about all the details, and letting it just be you take the day. You take care of everyone and everything, and I will walk in that trust.
Yeah.
And it goes with that choice, the active choice too, of how do I want to be today? What do I want to do in the anchoring of it and the grounding, instead of letting it just all happen? Is like there's a partnership even in oneself to say, I'm going to anchor in that decision making. That's how I'm going to start to see things in that trust.
Yes, it's really just a shift of focus, as Jesus says in the Course. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Frances, we have a fun tradition of going over what our guests' favorite comfort food is. So I would love to know, what's your favorite comfort food? It can be from Mexico, China, Australia, anywhere. There's no rules, so hit us with it.
This is a fun tradition. I mean,
we like
it. Yeah, I can tell you right now what feels most fun to me is actually that the Spirit picked the food for me, and because actually a lot of the food ceased to be comfortable. I don't know what's happening with these huge shifts that's happening. And so even with that, like giving the Spirit the day up front, it involves everything, right? So I find, which I just feel so glad to find that I don't even have to arrange my day, and I can let the Spirit food will be presented to me in some different ways. And they're so fun. And it was amazing. And they range from the most out of the box things that I've never tried to the Chinese things I used to eat. But yeah, I really want to give you a specific, but I have to say the most fun element actually is in the Spirit and not choosing ourselves.
Not in the food itself. Yeah.
Right.
I had some really good gelato down there in the town when I went down there to visit the Living Miracles community. Do you ever eat some of that?
I'm
going to tell you my favorite.
That is something I've heard of a lot. That we have good gelatos. I don't know whether I've tried the one that you're talking about, but if you come here, maybe we should do it together.
Yes, that sounds good.
Well, yeah, I think Frances also, in Matt saying that's a voice of Spirit telling you to go get some gelato.
Yeah, this has obviously been planned for you.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, good. Well, Frances, thanks so much for coming on Miracle Voices and sharing your miracle voice. You guys have a lot going on with the Living Miracles community. Maybe you can tell listeners about the online retreats, the weekly movie, and anything else you have going on.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So every Saturday, David is doing this movie workshop where he shows a movie over Zoom and really provides the commentary, and then we have people come into the small groups to sort of share their feelings and what came up during the movie, and some Q&A at the end. So it's a full-on one-day workshop every single Saturday. And then the first full weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of each month, we also do a Zoom online retreat that will be focusing on a different topic each month. And the upcoming one is miracles are involuntary. That is the topic, and that's gonna start the beginning of September. Then we have the beginning of October and November and December. So it's like the first full weekend of each month.
Oh, great. And that's everybody can learn more at livingmiraclecenter.org, right? Is that your website?
Yes.
Okay. So if you want to learn about the movies, the online workshops, and I attend those movies here and there and really enjoy them. They're on Saturday. I want to say maybe it's at 10 a.m. like Mountain Time. So that'd be 12 p.m. Eastern Time is when it is. And they're really helpful. David usually gives an hour, 45-minute talk beforehand, then pauses the movie as we go through it and talk about aspects of how it relates to forgiveness. And then there's those small groups afterwards. Find it really helpful and fun too. There's some really fun movies in there.
Yeah. It's a great way to join together in a fun and relaxed way.
Yeah. And people they email us sometimes, say, hey, how can I find, I don't have anybody else that lives near me that talks about, A Course in Miracles or forgiveness or anything. Like I'm this, I feel like an alien. And I say, oh, well, go there because you can break off in a small group and talk to other people that are in all different parts of the world. It's a pretty international crowd there. So it's fun. Mm-hmm. Well, Frances, thanks for waking up early with us and coming on Miracle Voices. We really appreciate it. And good luck with you have everything going down. I can't speak. Good luck with everything going on down there in Lake Chapala.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you so much, Tam. It's a real joy to be with you guys, and please do come visit.
Thanks so much for listening today. Please subscribe to Miracle Voices by hitting the subscribe button on your podcast app. If you are enjoying these conversations, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or whatever podcast app you use. And lastly, please visit us at miraclevoices.org and join our newsletter so we can stay connected. Until the next podcast, I want to leave you with my favorite Course quote, "When you want only love, you will see nothing else."